Okay, so we're just gonna get just straight into it. So this is July 6th. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna put the dates so y'all know, but it's July 6th, 2021. At this point, I'm in high school. This is either my sophomore or junior year in high school. I don't know. But I only did calisthenics, just basically just same old push ups, body weight squats. I mean, I couldn't do anything for back until I got to pull up bar way, way later. But so my back was really lagging, but everything else was fine, I guess. But it really didn't do much, as you can see, in terms of building muscle. But at the same time, I wasn't consistent. I mean, I was able to do a pretty good amount of push ups at this time. Like, I could just crank out 40 or 50 if I really wanted to. But yeah, that's basically all it did for me. I was just super lean. I got some veins out of it, but no real muscle mass. So now this is March 11th of 2023, and this is my senior year of high school, and this is like 2 months, or maybe I would say a month and a half before I like actually hit the gym. Yeah, around 2 months before I hit the gym, and I was almost as skinny as in that first clip. So this is July 10th, 2023, and I mean, yeah, you could see the frame. I built somewhat a bit of muscle mass. I was actually pretty proud. I'm like, okay, this is working. This is definitely working. For all of May and June, I really just dialed in. I was like, let me see if this gym stuff actually works. Because again, I was still like, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know, because I tried calisthenics for a pretty long time and nothing happened. So I'm like, I wonder if this will work. And it indeed worked. I definitely saw the results. The newbie gains were super noticeable. Um, but yeah. Now, this is August 21st. Mind you, I took a month break, which was basically all of July because I went to DR. And this is like when I came back from DR and like started hitting the gym again. Man, it was crazy. I was so incredibly lean. Like, can you see the damn lines on my chest? What is that? I thought I had like worms and stuff. Look, what is that? Oh my god! Like, even now, I'm looking at it. I'm like, what in tarnation is that, man? Oh, nah, that's crazy. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Even to look at now. Okay, now we go back to mediocre stuff. What is this? What is this, bro? This September 24th, 2023. I try to like, you know, I try to get like a full video of like my full body to see more or less how it looked. I was very disappointed. Let me tell you something. I was very disappointed. Um, Now this is October 21st, 2023, and here I'm at 140, 145. I'm in the 140s in this clip right here, which is, it's pretty dope. I actually started to look. I'm like, damn, I actually look good in this. Hold on. So this was like the first time I actually was pretty like, damn, I look aesthetic. Besides the August 21st, nothing could beat the August 21st clip. No, that is something. Like, I was skinny, but that leanness and the muscle striations and everything, it was just crazy. There you can see a little bit of my chest vein, which is pretty cool. Now here you could tell I'm a bit fluffier because here I'm like 150 something, and this is December 2nd of 2023. And yeah, I'm like, oh shoot, the bulk is finally, like, I'm finally gaining fat, because I was like, okay, I'm bulking, but I don't see no fat on me. And here you could literally tell that I'm a bit fluffier, like just a tiny, like, you could tell the body fat percentage is higher. It's not enough to a point where I'm fat, but you could definitely tell I lost um a lot of that leanness that I had, basically. But again, I don't care, man. Like, I've been skinny for so long that I actually enjoy being fat right now. Like, I really, really do enjoy it. Like, I prefer being fat than skinny. That's just me, though. So here we have, oh my god, that lighting was majestic that day. That was March 24th, 2024. So we're getting close. The lighting was doing its job. Oh my goodness. It was super majestic. Now here you could tell. This is April 26th, 2024. Here you could tell that I'm on a bulk. Like, I literally look super fluffy, a bunch of body fat. I mean, my back looks, what is that? April 29th, same thing. You could tell that I'm a bit fluffy, especially in this clip right here. Yeah, you could definitely tell, especially when I relax and everything. Like, that's when you could tell I'm even like getting a tummy. But when I get lean, ooh, Ooh, it's gonna look like that August 21st clip. Ooh, look at that. But now we get to April 30th, which is, I did the same thing here that I did in September, which is I try to get like a full video of my body to see what it looks like fully, if it's like all proportionate. Which actually I wasn't disappointed. Obviously, I want more, but I definitely wasn't disappointed. Everything looked somewhat proportional. Nothing was like too tiny. Sure, I could work on legs a bit more, but everything was good.
Okay. We hit 1 year of lifting. Yeah. Finally, we've been consistent for a full year. We've learned a lot of things, whatever. So I'm going to talk about more or less everything I've learned that's like super important when it comes to bodybuilding, I guess, right? Or just trying to build muscle in general. So the first thing is the first topic is splits, right? So everybody worries about, oh, what's the best split? Should I do push pull legs? Should I do like one muscle group per day? Have it like spread out like throughout the week. Um, you really gotta like with splits, you gotta experiment, especially if you know what you want. For example, I did push pull legs, but with that split, don't get me wrong, you can grow your arms, and there have been people who've grown their arms just fine with push pull legs. But for example, that split, it's mainly going to emphasize like the big three, like your chest, back, and legs. Like if you want to grow, let's say your shoulders, well, actually, shoulders grow just fine, but let's say your arms, you're probably going to have an arm day. But again, there's different people. That's why you have to experiment with it. If you're growing your arms just fine and push pull legs, then just do push pull legs. But for me, I had to like really switch it through because I was just not growing my arms, and I was trying everything. I'm like, okay, no, I have to have an arm day, and that's when I started implementing an arm day. And then, for example, with me, shoulders was another dilemma because I don't enjoy training shoulders, and whenever I would train them together with chest, by the time I get to shoulders, I was just done. Like it just burnt me out too much. I just didn't like shoulders and chest together. Now back is my favorite muscle group to hit. And then I was scrolling through TikTok and some guy had like he was doing shoulders and back. I'm like, wait, why don't I just pair shoulders with back? Since I enjoy training back, I'm gonna pair shoulders with it so it doesn't seem as dreading, I guess. So that's what I did. So now my split is chest, shoulders and back, legs, arms, and if I need a rest day, I'll take a rest day. If not, I just repeat the cycle right then and there. But each muscle group has like 2 to 3 days to recover. It's perfect. It works, at least for me. But I had to do a lot of experimenting, which I suggest like to do it like right in the beginning, like which one works best for you, because then to be switching up later on is gonna be a whole deal. But once you choose one, you have to stick with it. Like I say, at least um 2 to 3 months. Stick with it for 2 to 3 months, because people will be like doing it for like 1 or 2 weeks and then switch it up. That's not necessarily how you experiment with it. Just try something for 2 or 3 months, be very, very consistent, and then switch it up if you feel it's needed, or tweak some things if you feel it's needed. And that's literally all you need to know for splits. There's no one specific split. It's just finding what's right for you, essentially, and what you want, what you want to emphasize, what muscle groups you want to bring up. So that's basically the whole thing with splits. Now, two other really important things when it comes to bodybuilding is progressive overload and exercise selection, and they go hand in hand, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's not exercise selection in itself, it's the consistency with your exercise selection. So progressive overload, as many know it, is just simply going up in weight or making the exercise harder every single time you hit it again. So let's say I'm on the preacher curl machine and I did 90 for, let's say, 10 reps. The next time I hit biceps and do the preacher curl machine, I should be doing either 95 for the same amount of reps or making it harder on myself. What do I mean by that? It's simply just, let's say I was just like throwing it around, right? This time I'm going to, okay, maybe I should go a bit slower on the eccentric. Or maybe I should do a little pause at the bottom. Or maybe I should contract it at the top a while longer. Like, those are things that make it harder. And you basically make it harder for yourself until even when you make it hard for yourself, it's just easy. And then you go up. Or you could just go up. As long as your form doesn't break down like that, then you're able to go up. And once I hit a point where I know I can't go up, that's when I'll start making it just harder for myself. I'll just be like, okay, let me just, add a second to the eccentric, like 3 to 4 second eccentrics, whatever. Which eccentrics is also a huge part of building muscle. But yeah, I basically, bodybuilding is all about making like the exercise harder, essentially. Like, you're not trying to move, like powerlifting is trying to move it from point A to point B as fast as possible, and bodybuilding is just trying to make it super hard for yourself. You know what I mean? That's the contrast. And usually, as a like beginner, somebody who's starting the gym, like, you kind of get confused because sometimes you catch yourself trying to chase numbers. Like, oh, how much am I doing on this machine? Whatever. When it's not really about that. It's about like you're trying to build muscle here. So I think a lot of like people who start off really make that mistake, and then they kind of get in like a more of like a powerlifting mindset when it comes to bodybuilding exercises, and as a result they don't get the bodybuilding benefits from it. So I feel like that's what happens a lot. But back to the topic. Yeah, progressive overload, just making it harder for yourself or increasing the weight, because many people, when they think of progressive overload, they just think increase the weight. No, it could be increasing the weight or just making the exercise harder, like maybe like going in a deeper stretch, just stuff like that. And exercise selection, the reason they go hand in hand is because you can't progressive overload if your exercise selection is changing every single time you work out. Like, you have to have a set of exercises that you're gonna do for that day. Like, you can't be switching it up like every like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 days. Like, you have to stay consistent with it, because then let's say one day you do JM press and then the next day you hit triceps, you do a machine dip, you're not going to be able to progressive overload on the JM press, right? You need to pick a priority. Which one do you want more, the dips or the JM press? And once you pick, you have to stick with that one and progressively overload on that one, because then you're going to delay the progressive overload because you're not doing it consistently, so your body's not adapting to the exercise. And as a result, you're not able to go up in weight as much, and your results are going to be just way slower. So, like, you're still going to make progress, but it's, again, we're talking about like maximizing progress. So yeah, you got to be consistent with your exercises. Like, just select exercises that you think are like a must. Like, it's fine if like one day a machine is taken or something, you like resort to another exercise. But like main movements, like for example JM press, I will never switch that exercise out. JM press, like, it genuinely builds your triceps, and your tricep strength is out of this world after you do them like consistently. Like, you just got to pick your priorities in exercises and really, yeah, just really select them and progressive overload on them. And that's all you have to do. Just don't change them, and watch how much of a difference in like the speed of your progress in both terms of strength and size. You'll see how much it changes. Like, it's a day and night difference. Like, wow. But yeah, I touched on this on the last topic, but another really important thing I say is eccentrics and pauses. Just as simple as that. The concentric of the movement, I don't think it's too important compared to these other two, but so the eccentric is obviously the part where you're kind of resisting the force, if that makes sense. Like, let's say it's a pushing movement. If it's a bench press, The eccentric would be when you're bringing the bar down, and then the concentric would be when you push it up. So the eccentric is like really really important. And then with the pull movement, let's say you're doing lat pull downs where you're pulling, when you pull down, that's the concentric, and when you're like resisting it, right, and letting it go up, that's the eccentric of the movement. And I mean, it's just science. Eccentrics just blow up your muscles. Now, obviously, I'd say anything above like 4 or 5 seconds of an eccentric is just excessive. Like even five in itself is probably too excessive. I would say 3 to 4. With 3 to 4, you should build a really really good amount of muscle. You know, for fun, you could just add a bit of eccentric to it if you want to make the exercise harder. Like sure, but there's no like real benefit to a longer eccentric that's more than, like 4 seconds. I don't think so. So, but yeah, adding those is really good, and they also build strength too. Like especially pauses. When it comes to pauses, pauses really build strength. Like at the bottom of your movement, just just pause it for like 1 second, and then boom. Like for example, with the bench press, that built so much strength and so much muscle on my chest. Like it was actually unbelievable. I would slowly bring it down, let it rest on my chest for like 1 second. And how I counted the second, because I can't count while I'm doing an exercise, I like did a little like exhale that was exactly 1 second, and then I would go like, and then boom. But yeah, eccentrics and pauses are, if you combine those two and have them in your routine frequently, obviously not in every like exercise. Like there are exercises that you will not catch me focusing on the eccentric. For example, bent over barbell row, I will never be doing a slow eccentric or a pause. Well, I'll be doing it like kind of slow. Like obviously, I'll still try to resist it, but I'm not gonna go like a full on 4 seconds or three. Like it'll maybe be a two, maybe a three if I'm lucky, but that's a compound movement, which I do not like actually do all that. And I think there should be a balance. Like it's not like every single set should have like 4 second eccentrics and pauses. I don't think that. I think there should be some sets where you're just trying to move as much weight as possible with perfect form. Obviously, like no, if your form breaks down, then that's too heavy. You gotta go down. But like with perfect form, not controlling the eccentric or pausing, that's completely fine. But then I obviously balance. You have to include one set, where you're just like actually controlling and squeezing it, everything. So I feel like it's all about balance. Too much of anything is bad. So I feel like yes, there should be sets where you're just trying to, preferably the first set maybe, where you're just trying to move as much weight around, whatever. And then after that, after you got that out of the way, just try to control it and get it like a really good burn out of it. I feel like that's the me personally. I feel like that's the best way to go about eccentrics and pauses. But eccentrics and pauses, implementing them in a good amount of stuff is, it's really good, really good. Now we're going to talk about high volume training, high intensity training. They both show similar results according to studies, apparently. But high volume training is just as it sounds, a lot of reps and sets, but the weight is lighter. And then high intensity is just um very heavy weight, 7 to 8 to 10 reps. I like to stay in the 8 to 12 rep range. But yeah, now I'm gonna tell you why I personally prefer to do high intensity. Again, I feel like there should be some exercises, like some exercises or some sets, I take them to like 15 reps, but I don't take it more than that, right? But again, it's best to have, a piece of both worlds. So I think obviously people should balance it. Maybe some exercises with a higher sets and reps, and then some others, with very heavy weight and less sets and reps. Um, but I personally do high intensity more. I tend to do it more because I can focus on form a lot more. If I'm only doing 7 to 10 reps, I'll be able to concentrate a lot more on my eccentrics and pausing than if I'm doing 20 reps. Like, I will not be able to concentrate that well. So I feel like when I do high intensity training, I get a lot more out of it because I get a lot more of the benefits of like pausing and the eccentric and all that. Now, obviously, sometimes I include, both worlds in my training, and which I feel like is best. But I do have like the majority of my training is high intensity, so it's relatively heavy weight that I can only do for about 8 to 12 reps. So I think that's the best way to go in my opinion. In my opinion, if you have been growing just fine with high volume or with just high intensity, with just doing one, then keep doing what you're doing because you're doing something right if you're growing. So yeah, it's pretty simple. A lot of people are like there's like a whole debate which one's better. Then there's the whole like type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers, which I know nothing about. I just know that one responds better to more endurance type of training, so high volume stuff, and then the other one responds to like very very heavy weight, so like the brachialis. The brachialis is the type of muscle fiber that responds very good to heavy weight. um so yeah, I learned that recently. This is like recent news to me. So that's why I'm saying to include like both worlds, because I still don't know which ones are more endurance type. I think the legs, specifically the quads, I don't know. I may be wrong, but I think the legs are the endurance type. I mean, you're walking around with them all day, so I feel like they're more inclined towards that. But again, you will grow. Your muscles will adapt to whatever weight you're doing, so you will grow regardless. I don't think the type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers is that big of an issue, but um, I guess it's just a nice piece of scientific information to have. But yeah, I mean, just include both. I would say most of your training to include high intensity. Obviously, I'm biased, but I would say high intensity just because you could focus on more crucial stuff like your form, the eccentric, and all that. Because if you're doing 20 reps of something, chances are you're just trying to get the reps in because it burns really bad, and you're just like dying to get it over with because it's like a whole 4 sets. Like, you're just not as dialed in to the exercise as you should be. Maybe there are people that are, but me personally, I find that really hard to do. So high intensity for the majority of my training, it is. Here comes a pretty big topic. Um, Food. Now, food, I don't have much advice to give. Honestly, all I did was just eat, 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 eat. Now, obviously, then there's usually people give diet advice, like what type of foods, the healthy foods. I genuinely know nothing about that because I've never really dealt with it. Like, I mean, my family, we go out to eat like fast food or something like that, like maybe twice a month. Maybe if we're lucky. If not, it's probably like 0 to 1. If we're lucky, like 2 times a month is rare for us. Like, we don't eat fast food like that. My mom's a cafeteria manager, so whenever there's food left over from the school, which that school actually has good lunch food, she brings it over, and that's basically what we eat. So we basically eat school lunch, which is, I guess, I would assume I'm eating relatively healthy because they have specific regulations and stuff for the food. The certain foods can have too much sugar, this and that. It's not like the typical unhealthy stuff. It's literally regulated by the school board. So I would assume it's pretty healthy. So I think I literally just eat school lunch. That's all I really do. Um, and I just eat like a mountain of it. You know, I feel like for a beginner, like somebody who's just starting off, I don't think you should worry about like fats and all this sort of stuff. I feel like you should just calories and protein, which I don't even count them. Which I probably should, but I don't count them at all. I literally just eat. I don't know why, but ever since I switched from taking my protein shake in the morning to like at night before I go to sleep, for some reason, like I've seen drastic changes, like in both strength and size. I don't know if there's like a benefit to taking protein at night, like a low protein shake at night. I don't know if there's, I haven't researched that, but there definitely seems to be some type of, it definitely seems to be helping. It definitely seems to be helping. So there's that. I mean, with I know people that like, it surprises me how much people actually eat fast food and go out to like eat like to Burger King or this and that. Like, it really surprises me because me myself, like, I find it strange if my mother even decides to do it like 2 times a month. So with diet, I don't really have any advice. Just if you're bulking, then simply eat a lot, eat a lot. And I don't. And then there was this whole trend on TikTok going on at one point where it was like eating until you vomit. Like, brother, that's a disorder. That's not. Nuh-uh. Like, you're not supposed to be doing that. Can you imagine eating and then they'll like show a clip of them vomiting to show how much they ate? Like, brother, you just regurgitated all your food. The calories and the protein are down the drain. What do you mean? What do you mean to eat till you vomit? No, no. I will eat until my body tells me I am satisfied. Bro. Eating is like progressive overload, right? You will literally eat more and more and more and more each time you eat. You don't just go from eating a little bit to eating like a Mount Everest sized plate. Like, you don't do that. That's not how you eat. Like, you eat, and obviously your body has to adapt, bro. Like, your body adapts, and it adapts more than you think. So just eat. Boom, you're satisfied. Here's what I do. Once I'm satisfied, I eat a bit more, like a tiny bit more, and then like until I feel like really really full. But I don't eat until I never felt like vomiting when I eat. And I've gone from like 130 pounds in like August to now being almost 180. Like, I'm literally 178 right now. And I never once ate until I felt like vomiting. Like, sure, there are times where you're not hungry and you have to eat. That is true. But holy crap, like, that whole phase that TikTok, that gym people had, like, that's some like gym cell type of thing. That was crazy to me. I'm like, aren't you just regurgitating all your calories and stuff? Like, you basically just ate for nothing. You went through all of that for nothing. Like, that's just not how you do it, and that's how you gain excess fat. Like, I gained fat, but it's not like to the point where, like, I look like a bear. Um, but yeah, dude, just eat how you like. Progressive overload. Eat like that, and then eventually you'll be eating really, really good. Your body will start adapting to large amounts of food, and you could eat very, very large plates. And as a result, you'll have more energy. Whatever, whatever. But just don't go from. The only advice I have to give is just don't go from like a little tiny plate to all of a sudden, this and that. Gradually increase it, and you will be fine. You will be fine. You will feel better. You won't feel like vomiting. Because I don't know why people say on the bulk, like, oh, bulking is so hard. Brother, just eat normally, man. Just eat normally. Eat until you're full, and then eat a bit more than that. Not a lot, a bit more, to tell your body, hey, we gotta, increase the food capacity in our stomach. And then boom, the next time maybe you'll eat more and more and more and more until eventually, you're just able to eat whatever quantity of food you'd like. It's really that simple. Now, when it comes to dieting down and losing fat, I genuinely know nothing about that. All I know is about a caloric deficit. So, not eating too much and really getting on your cardio. That's the only thing. I can only give advice when it comes to dieting to in the bulking context, because I've gone from skinny to like, now having muscle. So I'm not the guy to go to for, you know, weight loss journey type of thing, but I hope this helps with people who are bulking, I guess. All right. So, my microphones died. I didn't need to use them. I just wanted to use them for funsies. But the two next most important things are consistency and sleep. I feel like if you are consistent with something, even if you're doing completely wrong, you will still make progress. So imagine if you just do everything right with consistency. I mean, dude, the progress will be phenomenal. Like just that and sleeping. Let's say you're doing exercise wrong for 4 to 5 months, but you're sleeping and eating correctly, so you're eating enough to grow muscle and resting enough to repair that muscle, then dude, you will be fine. You will literally be fine. Even if you're doing the exercise wrong. Like that's how important consistency and all that is. Um, some people, especially with resting, is really important. I say like 8+ hours of sleep is what you should be um sleeping if you're working out. Um, but if you're like, so some people operate under 6 or 7 hours of sleep. Me personally, I can't. I'd have to take a nap during the day if that happens. So I usually take a nap regardless. But yeah, resting is just super, super important. If your body's telling you you need to rest, then rest. I know some people are like, oh, the gym, we gotta go gym, we gotta, like, you won't die, dude. Just rest. Just rest. You won't die. Your chest won't vaporize. You know what I mean? You'll be fine. You will be fine. Just rest. It's really not that deep. For one day that you take a rest day, which there should always be a rest day. But let's say your body is just not feeling it, even after a rest day, then you must rest, because then that's gonna result. Let's say you go to the gym that day, your body's still not recovering. Like you gotta give it time to recover. So then you're just gonna delay the recovery, and then you're gonna end up feeling weaker. You're gonna end up feeling more tired, and it's just gonna be really, really bad. So yes, rest super important, and consistency over everything. Consistency literally over everything. As long as you're consistent, you will make some progress. Even if you're not eating and sleeping right, you will still make some progress just by the fact that you're being consistent. Like consistency basically guarantees progress no matter how large. Like it guarantees it. Like none of this other stuff, like, well, they do guarantee progress, but consistency like is the most reliable one. So that over everything, don't overthink it. Just be consistent with what you do. Don't even overthink it. Don't think of like specific stuff, all the nitty gritty. Just leave that to some other time. You know what I mean? Just really do what you like and do it consistently. And that's it. That's it. Consistency, and just which consistency also goes hand in hand with progressive overload and the exercise selection thing. You have to be consistent with those things. So it just like really spreads out across everything you need to do. You have to be consistent with everything. Thing, I mean, it's pretty plain and simple. It's just killing your ego. Bodybuilding and powerlifting are two different things. You have to draw a line between them. You have to pick a side. Like with bodybuilding, just don't even look at the numbers, because your body doesn't know what weight you're doing. It really doesn't. It just knows how heavy it feels. So as long as you make it feel heavy, it doesn't matter if you're doing like only one plate and a 25, so 185 on bench compared to 245, which you apparently usually do. You know, like it's just about how heavy you make the weight feel, which goes back to bodybuilding is all about making the exercise harder. That's really what bodybuilding is, because I'm talking specifically in a bodybuilding context. That's literally what it is. It's about making the exercise harder, making that weight feel heavy. You know what I mean? And that's where eccentrics and pauses come in. Those make the weight feel heavy. That light weight, it makes it feel heavy. And you have to kill your ego. You have to stop thinking about the numbers. Oh, but I could do this much weight. No, just go down to that weight where you could do to absolute perfect form, with the 4 second eccentric pause and everything. And then once you really like do that, then your strength will grow exponentially once you start doing that. Once you kill the ego and you really just go down to the lower weight, just stop caring about numbers, chances are you're gonna be even stronger than you were when you were doing the heavy weight. Like way stronger. Every single time I've dialed myself down, like I caught myself and I dialed myself down, just concentrated on no numbers, just forming everything, my strength went from like, I guess, hitting a brick wall to just going over, like both in strength and size, in both aspects. So if you're worried about strength, I mean, that too. It will also build that too, because obviously muscle size will probably, it doesn't directly equal strength, but chances are the bigger your muscle is, the more it can do. Um, so yeah, that's what, just kill your ego, man. Just don't think about the numbers. Just really concentrate. Everything is about the form. Everything is about the form, the eccentric, the pause, the eating, and the sleeping. Just don't think about numbers. Be humble. And yeah, that's it. Thing I forgot to mention, which I just remembered now, is I guess compound movements. I mean, one could argue like there have been people who've made phenomenal progress. I mean, I don't know if you guys know who TNF is, but TNF, he showed this young kid, I think like 16 or 17. I don't know. I think he was a kid, but he showed a teenager and he was like, "Oh, he got to this point just by doing what I've been doing, which he usually does machines. Like he doesn't do any compound movements like bench press or barbell squat or bent over barbell row. He does other alternatives to the machines because he prefers that. He thinks that is better, which it I mean, I did the same thing and I definitely made a good amount of progress. So, I mean, this kid or teenager, he looked really, really good. So, I mean, I don't think compound movements are exactly necessary. I feel like as a beginner, it's fun to do. I feel like you should do it, I guess, like for a bit if you want. But I don't feel like it's an absolute requirement, like to just do bench, barbell, squat, especially with shoulder press. I always do that on Smith machine. You will never catch me doing a shoulder press with an actual barbell. The only things I will actually do with a barbell are bent over barbell row, bench, and if I feel like it, squatting. Because even squatting, I just don't like squatting. Not my favorite movement. I've tried to learn how to like it, but I still clash with it. I rather just do a machine like Smith machine squats seem to be more comfortable for me, or that V squat machine, but except I turn myself over so the pads are like right here and like the pad is like on my head and I just squat down. I'm able to get a really deep stretch with that. So I feel like compound movements are nice to have in the beginning. Um, just to build, I guess, a foundation, right? But I don't feel like they're absolutely necessary. Like you don't have to absolutely do bench in order to grow a good amount of muscle. Obviously, if you want to do high bench numbers, which in that case it would be powerlifting, then you would have to practice bench very often. Yes, like you can't just do bodybuilding exercises and then go on to bench and expect to all of a sudden do 225 or 315 or any number. Like you will have to, if you want to get high numbers on bench specifically, you will have to bench like a lot. But if you're specifically looking for chest size and you're not worried about numbers or anything, then I don't think compound movements are too necessary. I enjoy bent over barbell rows. That's the only really compound movement that I do religiously. Bent over barbell rows, I just feel like it's better than Smith machine. Like that's the only exercise that I don't like on Smith machine. Bent over barbell rows on Smith machine, I simply do not like. Um, but yeah, compound movements. If he like, for example, the JM press, I do like the JM press on the Smith machine. I see it as like a compound movement for the tricep, but it's very nice. It builds so much tricep strength. Um, but yeah, that's my opinions on compound movements basically.